All right, so hi guys, my name is Molly,
I'm Ashley.
and this is our presentation on yo-yo dieting and weight cycling.
So our learning objectives are just that participants will be able to define yo-yo dieting and weight cycling, identify the challenges of weight loss, describe the negative health outcomes of yo-yo dieting and weight cycling, and then explain non-diet and weight-inclusive alternatives.
So the definitions of yo-yo dieting and weight cycling. Yo-yo dieting is a cycle of following a diet, stopping that diet, and then restarting the same diet or a different diet. And then weight cycling is a cycle of losing and then regaining weight.
And then some quick facts about weight cycling and dieting. So weight cycling can increase your risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes more than remaining at a steady obese BMI. 38% of women have tried yo-yo dieting. Yo-yo dieting has led to significant increases in body fat percentage. Most people who try dieting end up with an unhealthy relationship with their body. Yo-yo dieting can lead people to more levels of depression. It puts an emphasis on the number on the scale, and it has a negative impact on your metabolism.
So the dieting cycle is a trap that people can get caught in, and it involves repeated attempts at dieting or restricting food intake. So the cycle is it starts with like restriction of food, like such as like through a diet, and then it leads to feeling deprived and desiring what you're not allowed to have as far as like food or whatever you're restricting. And then after that comes giving into temptation or breaking the diet. And that leads to feeling guilty or like you failed. And then after that, people either jump right back into the same or new diet to try it like again. And then the cycle just repeats.
So some of the metabolic processes of weight loss, weight maintenance, and weight regain. So the basal metabolism influences the amount of calories we burn. So factors that influence that are going to be body size and composition, gender, and age. The metabolic rate, so that basal metabolism is reduced by dieting, mostly because of your restriction of food and the restriction of food consumption. And then dieting also has been found to decrease levels of leptin and increase levels of ghrelin. So leptin is known as the satiety hormone, and it influences taste and reward pathways. And then it'll also act in the hypothalamus to reduce food intake and increase energy expenditure. So decreased levels of leptin from dieting will increase food intake and decrease energy expenditure. And then ghrelin is known as the hunger hormone, and that increases consumption generally of sweet foods. And then both of these decreased levels of leptin and increased levels of ghrelin will cause weight regain caused by increased hunger, reduced satiety, and promoted energy storage. And then there's also an increased level of cortisol due to the increased levels of stress that can also be a contributing factor to weight gain or weight regain.
So challenges of weight loss and weight maintenance. The challenges with weight loss and weight maintenance stem from genetic makeup, hormonal controls, diet composition, and then environmental influences. Calorie deprivation causes preoccupation with thoughts of food. Willpower is a key component of weight regain, and dieting causes increases in hunger, a desire to eat, and prospective food consumption, increases in responsiveness to food reward, and decreases in control of food intake.
And then Molly, if you just wanted to do this slide too.
Yes, so the negative health outcomes of dieting. So some of the physical health outcomes that are negative is that it can slow metabolism. It can increase a person's risk of heart disease. People cannot get important nutrients into their diet, muscular strength and endurance loss, decreased oxygen utilization, and increased risk of eating disorders or disordered eating habits. And then some of the negative mental health outcomes are a decreased self-esteem, increased stress, decreased ability to concentrate, occupying some memory storage, and it can result in body dysmorphia.
So some of the non-diet and more weight-inclusive approaches that you can use generally follow the health at every size, or the HAES model. So this model is going to focus on weight inclusivity, which is the acceptance and respect of inherent diversity of body shapes and sizes, while rejecting the idealizing or pathologizing of specific weights that people can have. Health enhancement is going to be supporting health policies that improve and equalize access to information and services, and then produce personal practices that improve human well-being, including attention to individual physical, economic, social, spiritual, and emotional needs, and then also other needs. So looking at kind of the social determinants of health there. And then eating for well-being is going to be promoting flexible, individualized eating based on hunger, satiety, nutritional needs, and pleasure, rather than an externally regulated eating plan focused on weight control, which is going to be like following those dieting practices. And then the next component, respectful care, is going to be acknowledging our biases and working to end weight discrimination, weight stigma, and weight bias, and then also providing people with information and services from an understanding that socioeconomic status, race, gender, sexual orientation, age, and other identities impact weight stigma, and then supporting environments that address these inequities. And then that last component is going to be life-enhancing movement. So this is going to be supporting physical activities that allow people of all sizes, all abilities, and all interests to engage in enjoyable movement, and then to the degree that they choose, which is important. And then intervention for overweight and obese men and women. So this second bullet focused on health at every size based interventions. It generally looked at like, I think 10 studies, and it found from those studies that participants' BMI, body weight, was improved, and then their waist to hip ratio was reduced, and then improved total and LDL cholesterol. There was a decrease in body dissatisfaction. There was improved self-esteem and reduced depression, and then there was improved overall well-being. And then if you like were to look at the resource that we have on this, you could find exactly where in that all of these improvements and reductions were found in those HAES-based interventions, compared to some of the control groups, which mostly focused on social support or following like those restrictive dieting like practices and that kind of stuff. And then just a non-diet approach to health is just mindfulness, and then eating mindfully, intuitive eating, incorporating more fun physical activity, using stress management to reduce your stress rather than focusing on like foods and like that kind of thing. So different stress management practices and that kind of thing.
And then these are just our resources.